Hello, all you fantasy rookies, your vets, your addicts whose spouses hate how much time you spend on fantasy football, and everyone in between. Welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. My name is Zach, aka Wide Receiver One, and with me today is Brian, aka Castle Black. Patrick is missing today, and we are so jealous of him. He's off on vacation, but it's just the two of us today, and we'll be diving into tight ends. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing good. Yeah, Pat is up at the Hall of Fame for baseball in Cooperstown, New York. So he's been posting some cool pics and stuff like that. Not a big
Yeah,
baseball guy, but I remember going there as a little kid, thinking it was pretty neat.
I grew up playing baseball a ton, so I'd absolutely love to do that one day, and happy he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, man. But now life is good. No complaints for me. It's a little hot in PA, a little hot and sticky where I'm at, but I'll take it over the freezing cold.
Yeah, you got our weather. It's been about 100 heat index over in Illinois, and it finally hit 70. So we're cruising to that for the next week, and very happy for that.
Beautiful.
So, sweet. Yeah, today we're going to be diving into tight ends. As you can see, we have Keep Trade Cuts top 20 tight ends on the board for you. We'll be going through kind of our thoughts, going five at a time, seeing what we like, who we don't like, values, who we think should be ranked higher, lower, and likes, and just kind of talking about that. But I think first off, tight end is such a peculiar position that we probably want to talk a little bit about how we approach the tight end position, since it can be quite different. So I know, Brian, you have some. You've talked about your warp charts plenty already, and let's hear a little bit more about them and dive into that before we really talk about these rankings.
Sure, man. So in the majority of leagues, you're looking at either no tight end premium or a fairly small 1.5, 0.75, which when you look at the yellow line on this wins over replacement chart, it's terrible. It doesn't even come close to the other positions. I mean, you can see the top two tight ends are over two wins over replacement player each. But after that, it just steadily drops. I think the one way you pointed it out, try to explain to folks, like the wide receiver 24 in this half point premium league is equivalent to the tight end 4.
Tight ends 5 or 6,
Or yeah, 5 or 6 even,
yeah,
depending on how you're eyeballing it. But I mean, that's just wild. So I mean, that's why those next tier of tight ends, after you get beyond the top one, top two, that you end up inevitably spending those fifth and fourth and sixth round picks on just to say that you got one of the top 12,
yeah,
it's such a waste, because there's wide receivers and running backs on the board at that point that are just statistically going to help your team more. It's going to help you win more to punt on tight end and load up on these other pieces that just give you higher wins over replacement. So the one thing that I do always like to point out is I'm playing a number of best ball leagues now, and with best ball, that's really where I'm just completely punting tight end, and I'll take 3 mediocre guys that are ranked maybe in the 20s, and one of them is probably going to get me 9 or 10 points in the game, or 9 or 10 points in a week, and slide into that spot for me. Where in a lineup league where I'm actually going to have to pull the trigger and start one every week, I will spend up a little more and probably get somebody in that tight end 12 to 15 range. Like, probably still be the last guy on the draft board to take one,
yeah,
but tight end 12 through 15, especially in redraft, I mean, I'm happy putting one of those guys in my lineup. I'm not expecting a ton. They're not going to win or cost me my league. So I'm definitely the anti-tight end guy, and it's not really anything outside of just seeing all the actual data on it over this is over a 5-year span when we pull up these charts. This isn't just one fluke year. This is just
yeah.
what tight ends have done over a 5-year average in any given league. So that's kind of my feelings, man. I will spend up on the top one here and there. Like, I just did a startup where with a high tight end premium, I took Brock Bowers in the first round to literally get my first share ever of Brock Bowers, even in 60 leagues. So,
Yeah,
I'll roll the dice there, because you can see the tight end one is up there with the
yeah,
other top positions. So that's a rarity, though, for me, man.
yeah. Yeah, the tight end one here is that fourth spot. You have
Right.
one running back, one wide receiver, one, and then tight end one.
Yep.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it really falls off. And for those whose eyes aren't on the screen, the warp chart is up, but it's a 12-team super flex PPR with the half point tight end premium we're talking here, where the tight end 6 is roughly equal to wide receiver 24 or the running back 18. That means is the tight end 6 last year, who was Mark Andrews, gave as much value to your team as Juwan Jennings, Jacoby Myers, Jameson Williams, Jordan Addison, Flowers. I know I was one of the people who thought this. I hated having Tyreek Hill in my lineup because I couldn't expect consistency out of him. And he still did more for you than the tight end 6.
Yep.
Or running backs, Kamara, Aaron Jones, who are going 3-4 rounds later than Andrews in startups, James Conner, Hubbard, Mixon, Montgomery, Swift. These are all players, when you're talking startup, when you're talking about value, they're going rounds later, many picks later of what you can get. You can get some of these players for a late second, mid-second right now, whereas, someone who really values tight ends in a tight end premium league, you can really sell those tight ends to benefit up. And I even did some statistical analysis on scoring. Travis Kelce last season was the tight end 5. Travis Kelce was closer to being the tight end 14 than the tight end 1 last year. That's how close the tight end 14, tight end 5 were in scoring.
Right.
Nevertheless, I'll drop one spot. Mark Andrews, tight end 6. Mark Andrews was closer to being tight end 14 than tight end 4 scoring-wise.
Yeah.
Like, if that's not a reason after the first 3 tight ends to just punt it and get, as you said, someone in the 10, 11, 12 to 15 range, if those guys are going to get you similar points to tight end 5, 6, 7, and you can get a better running back, better wide receiver, why not do that?
Right.
Yeah.
We always, you hear about the running back dead zone, much more of a redraft thing, Dynasty, but it's a real thing, and you get suckered into these guys. Zamir White, 2 years ago, or last year, whatever it was, that he's a starting running back. You're gonna grab him. He's one of the last starting running backs. We take him in round 5, round 6, or whatever, and nobody really brings up the tight end dead zone. But I mean, that's every year you get that. You get beyond those top 3. It's funny. It seems like there's been a big 3 for as long as I can remember. They've all changed and rotated, but I remember for it was like Gronk and Jimmy Graham, and I guess Kelce started coming in when those 2 were fading out, and then for a while it was like Zach Ertz, Kelce, and Kittle were the big 3 that you had to get, and then it was Andrews kind of replaced Ertz there, and then it was those 3, and now it seems like then the 2 young bucks, McBride and Bowers, have slid in, and Kittle's still there as that guy giving you crazy good points. But yeah, man, it's the dead zone is real. I'll either take one early, one of the top guys, which doesn't happen often, but whatever, maybe the way the draft board falls, I'll do that. But you'll never see me ever being oh, well, let me hustle up and grab Hawkinson or tight end 6-ish or whatever. I'm never going to do it.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, we're talking about PPR leagues, even half tight end premium leagues. You really want a top 3 guy, otherwise you can really punt it. I looked back at the last decade. If you take out Travis Kelce, because he's been an absolute phenomenon at tight end, there have only been 2 tight ends to finish in the top 3 back-to-back years. And you mentioned 2 of them, Zach Ertz and Kittle.
Yep.
So when you're looking at, okay, I want a top 3 tight end, how much is the odds of a top 3 tight end in value right now going to finish in the top 3 again? Bowers could be the next Kittle. Or Bowers could be the next Kelce, or McBride could be. But McBride also saw 150 targets, and Marvin Harrison didn't break 120. I bet you that's flipped, and McBride's not going to be a top 3 tight end next year. I think that's very realistic. And so this is going to sound like we're just crapping on tight ends this entire podcast, and we're not meaning to. It's more the reality of what the tight end situation is, in that you want a top 3 tight end, but the consistency for a player to be a top 3 tight end historically outside of Kelsey isn't there. And so why would you spend top value on a tight end unless you're really expecting them to have a Travis Kelsey type career, than just punting it for someone in that 8 to 14 range when they're going to get you similar points?
It's a hard to spend up. I have a decent amount of McBride shares because I just took a decent amount of rookie picks of him, and he just sat on my bench for a year and a half before he did anything, and now I'm just fortunate to have him. But in the startups I've done in the last 2 years, which is a good number of them, I don't have any brand new Trey McBride shares because he goes so damn high. And it's saying, like I said, I literally just took Bowers in one because it has a huge premium, and I somehow did not have a single Brock Bowers share. So took him just to say I got one. It's a little bit bigger of a buy-in too. So if it pays off, great.
Oh yeah.
Probably going to end up regretting it. I'm probably going to be like, damn it, I should have taken, whoever, Justin Jefferson, whoever was actually on the board at that point. But we shall see. It's all an experiment. I figure if Bowers does turn into the next Travis Kelsey with 8 years of domination, I'll be happy to have.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the only share I have for Bowers. Is it's a 2-point tight end premium league, so tight ends get 3 points per reception. Bowers was the number 7 overall scorer in Superflex. Yeah. And so I'm there like, I took him at the 103 in rookie drafts because I'm like, how is he not drafted already? And that's my only share right now. And again, we're talking about, PPR half tight end premium. Once you get to 1.5 tight end premium, that's when these tight ends after the top 3 really start being impactful value wise. But that's kind of what we're talking about is value wise. The value you're going to get out of the tight end 4, 5, 6 is going to be similar to the tight end value of tight end 7 to 14, 7 to 15. When you factor in, you could use that pick, that startup pick, that value, whatever, instead of on that tight end 4, 5, 6 for a wide receiver or running back. Like when you can use that value elsewhere, that's when it starts paying off in this regards.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think we can start diving back into these top 5 tight ends. We'll go 5 at a time, kind of giving our thoughts, what we like, what we don't like. There's a lot of shocking things here just looking at the overall list. And then at the end, we'll kind of give any honorable mentions to players who aren't on the list and just kind of see from there. So first off, our first 5. Number 1, we got Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, Laporta, and then a little shocking to me, Tyler Warren and Loveland to round off the top 5 in Keep Trade Cuts rankings right now. What are your thoughts on these?
I mean, classic example of people just putting youth almost over everything when it comes to Dynasty. These guys, McBride's the old man of this group going into his, 3rd season, 3rd? Yeah. Everybody else, you're looking at going into season 2 or season 3 or 2 rookies. So, I mean, I get it. So if you're looking at it in that capacity, the next guy after them is Kittle, and if Kittle was even 2 years younger, probably, and his age started with a 2 instead of a 3, he'd probably be like 3 on this list. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess I understand 1, 2, and 3 with Bowers, McBride, Laporta. I don't have any worries with the top 2. I mean, if you're going to spend up on one, if you're going to spend up in Dynasty or redraft, and you just want to have a top guy, take one of those 2. I don't think you're going to find any ranking list on earth that doesn't have them as the top 2 tight ends in Dynasty right now.
Oh yeah.
So
I press to do anything else.
With Bowers, I guess the concerns would be they just drafted, a generational running back in the top 10 of the NFL draft, so they're not going to just be checking the ball down to him over and over and over and over again. But
that was huge for him.
He did get a quarterback upgrade, coaching upgrade, I guess you could say, too, with Pete Carroll. So, I do think Bowers will be fine. Certainly, we'll see plenty of volume. I have no reason to believe that he won't be the focal point of the passing offense there. And then with McBride, as you said, they didn't really utilize Marv the way that the whole world expected them to last year. They just had
Yeah.
him go routes down the sideline, all game, every game.
Yeah.
So you figure that they'll come up with a better game plan for utilizing their shiny toy that they spent. What was he, the 4th overall pick in the draft
Something
last year?
like that. Yeah.
So
You'd think they do that, not just treat him like a Gabe Davis, Christian Watson, and just say, hey, run on the outside. Like, you'd think they would have done a little more with Marvin Harrison, and hopefully that's the case this next year.
So that could definitely negatively affect McBride. Now the one thing that is a positive that you could say for McBride going forward, or for this year or upcoming years, the amount of targets and receptions he had versus the amount of touchdowns he had was like almost scientifically impossible.
Yes.
So he's such a strong candidate to have positive touchdown regression and end up with, 8 to 10 touchdowns. And if he keeps his volume even close to what it was last year and actually gets in the end zone a good bit, he could clearly be the top tight end. So that's why, I'm pretty comfortable with just taking either of those two as the top two.
Yeah.
From 3 down, you could definitely debate. I mean, Laporta had the boom rookie season, but it was mainly touchdowns. And then last year, much less in the touchdown department, less in the receptions department, and
more receptions. Laporta had 7 touchdowns last year and only 10 his rookie year.
Okay.
So his receptions and targets are what went down. He had almost 40 less targets, 26 less receptions, less yardage. It's to me, it's that Jameson Williams effect, where he was finally playing in all those targets that were going his way, were going Laporta's way the year before. And that, I mean, when you think about it, how many Lions players can you start on a weekly basis? Obviously, you got Goff, Montgomery, Gibbs, kind of Laporta. You got Jameson Williams. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, you're looking at 5 or 6. It's amazing that they can do that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Laporta still finished at tight end 7 or 8 last year, too. It wasn't like he flopped. But
with him, it all came in the back end because he just killed you, because he was getting taken as tight end 1 or 2, and definitely tight end 1 in Dynasty, but then in redraft he was going as tight end 1 or 2, and he killed you. If you look at his game log, it was poop early, half the year, and then he ended on a heater. That's how he ended up, still ended up being like tight end 7. So I think looking at the list, I can start nitpicking right at 3 there with Laporta. He could easily have the exact stats that he did last year, or less, with all the mouths to feed there. I know Jameson Williams is a very trendy, breakout pick for a lot of analysts, mainstream and small time. So you hear him a ton, and he did have 1,000 yards last year, just got over 1,000, and we all know his speed. JMO is a weapon. So if they utilize him more, Amon-Ra, I can't imagine they stop giving him the huge target share that he gets. Why would you? And if they want to run the ball a little bit more, Gibbs has already come out in pressers saying that they're going to throw him the ball more than they have in his first 2 years recently. So, Laporta's probably a guy that I'm never going to get, because once in a while I'll spend up on top 2, but I'm definitely not spending up to get Laporta. So,
And that's the thing. I had Laporta in a couple of years, and no one would buy him for an early second, never less a mid-second. It's interesting to see rankings for Laporta that some people want a lot for him still, but some people, aren't touching him.
If you were able to sell him right at the end of that rookie season when he was, at one, you have made out very well on that deal.
Yeah. And I agree. I think those top 2 right now, you can't really debate. I think McBride's target share is going to go down some. He had 147 targets this last year. I think it's going to flop. I think he's going to have closer to 120, and Harrison's going to have close to 150. When I look at McBride the last 2 years, McBride has had about almost 200 receptions, just under 2,000 yards, and only 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to see that even if his targets and receptions go down, his yardage goes down. I have a hard time seeing his touchdowns not going up to compensate for that sum. Maybe not a top 3, but he might end up tight end 5 or 6 this next year. And
very well could.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think you can start nitpicking this list as soon as 3. And actually, I have an interesting question that just came to mind for you.
Sure.
So we're talking about our warp charts. We're talking about after the tight end 3 or 4, it really starts getting very similar in value, especially as opposed to other positions. So my question, how much should age factor into our values for tight ends if after tight end 3 or 4, you just care about anyone between tight end 4 and 14? Should age really play a big factor in our tight ends, or should they be, as you said previous episodes, you have running backs almost as a revolving door and you evaluate year to year? Is it almost better to do that with tight ends because of how they are valued and just throw age almost out of the equation outside of your top 2 or 3 guys?
I mean, I think the main thing you have to think about with value and how to look at the age of them for dynasty purposes is that the majority of dynasty players really do overvalue age, in my opinion. You see it all off season. You can't sell these vets that are just proven, 29, 30-year-olds. Like, I mean, you could try, but you're going to get shit offers for them. So, and then soon, when the season kicks in and people start needing points on the board, that's about the only time you can get anything for the vets. But I say all that to say that age does matter, because at the end of the day, you still want to be able to have like resale value, or to be able to flip them for something if they're playing hot. So, I don't think of it that much. If I've got a guy that can, get me top 12-ish to top 15-ish points every week, or a couple of them on my team, that's all I really give a shit about, because you don't need anything more than that really in most leagues. But you do have to at least factor in the age for resale value and just availability to trade them, because you're not getting much for a guy like Kittle. Guys like Kittle, man, they're going to die on my bench. I still have some Travis Kelce's. I'm not selling him at any point. Like, he's just going to ride off into the sunset because nobody's going to give me what he's worth. I have plenty of teams where he's going to be the tight end that I put out every week, and I'm just hoping for another tight end 5 to 8-ish season from him. So I'm with you. I don't think it's that important, but I think it does just matter for the age purpose and how the rest of your league is going to view that player.
And that's the interesting question. Like, some of these tight ends you got later in drafts, like Laporta, his rookie season was an early to mid second in your rookie drafts. To McBride, I got him off waivers in some leagues before he popped off. Tucker Kraft was, we'll be talking about him soon enough, is someone who was lower. Like,
he's behind Musgrave.
Yeah,
the whole rookie year he was playing behind Musgrave,
and then Musgrave got injured and Kraft just took over.
Yeah, and then last year, their second years, Musgrave barely even sniffed the field. And Kraft was their main guy.
Yeah, so that's the interesting question of, you want youth and tight ends for resale value. Is it almost best as soon as a young tight end pops off? Is that almost put them on the block right away and try and sell them to get that value back? Because unless it was like a Bowers, who you're thinking of a generational talent, you can get similar points in your lineup while gaining other assets by trading those tight ends those young tight ends when they get older, because everyone else really overvalues youth in Dynasty.
I mean, we just said it. Like, if you flip Laporta right when his rookie season was done, you made out like a bandit. Like, he's not going for those prices now. I mean, I was actually kind of not surprised, but I was thinking he might be down 4 or 5-ish, maybe 6, given the last year. The bad taste he left in a lot of people's mouths. But yeah, if you sold him for those astronomical prices, you made out great. There is a absolute chance that this is the most expensive Brock Bowers ever is in his career.
Yeah.
If he starts, if he takes a step, I mean, odds are he's not doing what he did last year. That's just the odds. So maybe he could come close to it. But if he settles in where he's just finishing tight end 4 or 5 2 years in a row, he'll never see these, overall first round startup pick value ever again. So,
No.
yeah, man. I mean, I don't. Kelsey might be the only guy that you would have like regretted selling after his like first big year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, it's not a bad idea, man. As long as you get that peak value for them, then I'm all for it, man. Sell them. Get yourself a. When I'm looking at the list here, get you an Njoku and a first round pick and a first and a second, because let somebody that's valuing youth and valuing the tight end position pay up for him.
I mean, I'm even looking at the list again of players we'll talk about that were high that now have dropped value after uh, a strong rookie or second season. You got the Porter whose values dropped, Kincaid whose values dropped, Kyle Pitts who seems to keep having a resurgence every offseason of this is his year, and then his value drops. And so you're seeing this with a lot of these higher value tight ends. Is more recently when you're drafting them in rookie drafts, almost seems to be the outside of Bowers, these tight ends you're getting in the first round, early second round of rookie drafts, you're almost drafting them at their peak value. And I hate drafting players at their peak value.
Yeah, I mean, the drafting people at their ceiling is never a great idea. They literally have to return like exactly what they did the prior year just to be worth what you paid, and that's a you put yourself in a tough spot there.
Yeah. And I finished talking about him a little. Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, rounding out the top five. I don't necessarily have a problem with this. I just worry about their situations. We're talking about Warren. I love Josh Downs. I love Michael Pittman. But can Daniel Jones really support 2 or 3 fantasy relevant receivers? I think Downs and Pittman will get their own. Is Warren going to get that, or is he going to be more a blocking threat? Like that. That's a very interesting question there, because Richardson's out on injury, and if he comes back, I'm selling everyone on the Colts if Richardson's staying there long term.
So what I'll say about Warren, and I've said this probably at least once every episode we've recorded, I'm not big into college scouting. I don't pay much attention to college ball at all. I just listen to people that do pay attention to a lot of that and do a ton of rookie scouting. And I heard from a lot of them that they don't like Tyler Warren at all. They just think he was kind of in a perfect scenario at Penn State where they just kind of force fed him, and that's why he put up the numbers he did, and that they just don't like him. They don't think, they all had almost everybody had Loveland over Warren just overall, and the NFL also saw it that way because Loveland went ahead of Warren draft capital wise. So I think I have one Tyler Warren share where, again, it was probably a premium league where I had like an early second or a very late first, and he was there and just kind of needed the tight end depth. Yep. So I pulled the trigger, but I won't have much. That'll probably my only share of Tyler Warren. The one positive I will say for him, the case that I think it was Adam Azer on the CBS pod was saying why he likes him is that because of Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, that they both kind of can't really throw deep, that their offense this year might be a lot of just running and short passes, and Warren would probably be the guy to just eat up all those little short area targets. So he may end up being, solid just for like Evan Ingram type, like PPR purposes, just have a ton of, 7 or 8 5-yard catches in a game and work out that way. But of the two, all the positive scouting I heard was that Loveland is just a better prospect than Warren, and his situation definitely is cloudy because they have so many weapons there. Like we're saying with the Lions. I mean, the Bears have all these people to throw to. I don't think Cole Kmet's just disappearing. I mean, he's a quality NFL tight end that they spent decent draft capital on. That's had some flash games, and so he'll be involved. And they drafted Luther Burton. They have DJ Moore. They spent a top 10 pick on Rome Odunze last year. So we still haven't seen Caleb really become the generational guy yet. So there's still that has to happen. So.
And don't discount Swift's pass catching abilities.
Right, he'll be involved. Ben Johnson uses running backs in that capacity. So, yeah, man. I of the two, I prefer Loveland, but I can't imagine having either of them as my guy in redraft this year, or even on like a competitive dynasty team. So, maybe I'd make a move for them or trade for them on like rebuild teams just to see what happens. But again, I'm probably just rather spend those assets on different positions, or just keep the draft picks or send them to somebody for players I like more. So there are two guys I probably won't have much of.
Yeah, same here. I live in Bears country. I'll tell you, people here love Komet. I know people who were shocked and disappointed they drafted a tight end because they're like, we got to use Komet. Like, he's the key to the offense. So Komet's not going to die. As much as people might think Loveland's just going to take over, Komet's not going to die. I know Loveland's a great pass catcher. That's really the draft when Loveland got picked was where I first started hearing Loveland over Warren. And it was the extent of Loveland's a better offensive threat and pass catcher. So for fantasy purposes, Loveland is almost better than Warren, or you would say is better, whereas Warren's a better overall well-rounded tight end, which I think the Colts needed that more than a pass catching tight end like Loveland. But I would agree. I don't think I'm going to have much shares of them. I think they're between now and the end of the season. I think we're close to their peak value. So if I'm going to have shares, it's going to be mid-season when a competitor needs a tight end, and I'm going to buy them cheaper off of them. Like that's where, again, playing the value game here is I expect the value to go down some. So I'll probably expect to have more shares come end of the season than now because I expect the value to go down. But yeah, it's very interesting to see these two rookies crack the top five, in my opinion. I think some of these others, Kittle, Hawkinson, even I think Ingram and Andrews is being slept on a lot. That I was surprised that some of these guys weren't higher on the list. But yeah, I think we've said many times already, dynasty players really overvalue youth. I think that's really what's kicking these guys up.
Yeah, it's the age. You see the next group has old man Kittle in it, so that's true. I'm actually just pulling up another cool tool from South Harmon where you can look at all of your rosters and it'll tell you how many shares of each player you own, like what of each position you have that you own the most of. So yeah, I'm actually just pulling up my tight end list now, and without even looking, I know I have a lot of Kittle shares because contending teams, that's a dude that he's just like an automatic buy for me. Like if I'm going into the playoffs or playoff push, I'll send a first for Kittle. I'll send whatever a young receiver that people have a lot of hope for dudes like Kittle.
Yeah, and people say Kittle's injury prone. He's missed, I think it was 8 games in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, he's missing 2 games a year, and I think he gave you 4 top 5 tight end performances. Like I think Kittle, just because of his age, and people say, well, he's injury prone. No, he's a great competing tight end that, if I'm on a rebuilding team and I got Kittle and someone sends me first, I'm smashing accept on that. But vice versa, if I'm competing and I really need that tight end, it's hard not to send an early second, a late first for Kittle, because more than likely I'm going to have strong flex starters that the first being sent for a flex starter is not going to give me as much value as Kittle for a truly strong competing team.
So I got my list of overall tight ends I roster, and just with the way I approach tight end, it just made me giggle seeing it because my tight end first and second most owned tight ends with like 18 shares and 17 shares are Tyler Conklin and Hunter Henry. And that's everything about how I feel about tight end, because those are two dudes that you can put them in that spot, and odds are, like I think Hunter Henry was like an overall top 10 tight end the last few years.
He won your leagues last year.
Yeah, so that cracks me up. But then after them, they're my two heaviest owned. But then right after them, I have 10 shares each of Kittle and Freiermuth, which doesn't surprise me. I got 9 of Mark Andrews, 9 of Evan Ingram, and then I have 8 shares of McBride, and those were like a legit. Every single one of them was a rookie pick.
Yeah, no, you were getting him cheap. I was getting McBride off waivers his rookie year. I was like, I got to make room for this guy. I have hope for him, and granted, I didn't think this much for him, but yeah, that's a very cool tool. And again, go back to the Warp chart that shows the South Harmon website. That's where that came from. They have some amazing tools for your dynasty teams. And that's where we got that from. But
Yeah, that particular thing is called the lab, and it doesn't just show you like your own rosters. You can look at other people's rosters. You can put other people's like sleeper team or sleeper handle in there,
oh
and it
wow,
shows who they own a ton of, which is awesome for like, oh wow, you can see this guy is in love with player X. You know what I mean? And I don't really care for that player. Let me send him an offer. You know, because this dude seems like he'd probably overpay for it, and just one of many awesome tools that they have in South Harmon that is just you know, gives you an edge on the competition, no doubt.
that's amazing. That's really amazing. Yeah. So moving on to tight end 6 to 10, we got George Kittle, Hawkinson, Kraft. Again, very surprising to me. Likely, then Kincaid. What sticks out to you?
So again, Kittle, love him. I mean, obviously, you don't want him on anything but a pure contender, but he's the man. I think also this year we've now got Ayuk's almost a lock to miss the first few games of the season. Juwan Jennings
on the pup,
about
so
holding
that's gonna
out.
be 4.
Right, and Jennings is talking about like holding out or wanting a trade at this point.
Yeah.
Pearsall, you got Pearsall there, but I mean, I think all I really read into all those is that Kittle's just going to be like the focal point of the passing game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, nothing but love for him. I mean, literally the only knock on him is just the fact that he's like 31, I think, this year. So
yeah, he's
tight
31.
End, your Jason Wittens, your Anthony Gonzalez, your Travis Kelce, these dudes balled into their mid 30s. So
yep.
It wouldn't surprise me or anyone, I don't think, if Kittle has 2 or 3 more like absolutely dominant years left in him. So I personally, he's higher on this list. I'm not a official rankings guy, but if I sat down and did them, Kittle would be probably tight end 3 with a little asterisk saying, but you have to be a competitive team.
Yeah, I got him as my tight end 4. I do that. I have Kittle at 4, and again, not in the top 10. I have Andrews as my tight end 4 or tight end 5, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, I think Kittle's definitely underrated right now. Just with, again, age doesn't do much for tight ends. Give me the guy that's going to score points. He's going to be top 10. And you can get him cheaper than these other guys. I trade Kittle. I trade Loveland Warren for Kittle in a second any day, and I think you could get that right now. I think you might even be able to get more depending. Like I do that. Same thing with Laporta, McBride. Give me Kittle in a first for McBride. I'd almost say take Kittle there, right? Take Kittle there and run with it.
For sure, man. Yeah, so love Kittle. Hawkinson, a little interesting. I've always liked Hawkinson. He has done well since he got to Minnesota. Just suffered the really bad injury, but I mean, when he's been on the field in Minnesota, he's been very good. So I do like Hawkinson. I guess that's probably solid value from. Like I think I would probably want him over those 2 rookies as well, rankings wise. Again, he's a little older now. But he's like 26, 27. So he's.
I think he's older than that.
Is he? He can't be much older than that though, because I think he's
28.
28. Okay.
Yeah, but 6 years going into his 7th year in the NFL.
Yeah.
3 years in Minnesota. He posted a tight end 2, 4, and 4 season before only playing 10 games last season, where he had a slow start, but granted, Darnold was really connecting with the other receivers there. That I think Hawkinson is going to potentially start off stronger, starting off the season with McCarthy instead of starting partway through with Darnold.
Well, we didn't really touch on any of the recent news from today, but Jordan Addison is looking like locked for a 3-game suspension for. He technically didn't get a DUI arrest. It was like a disorderly conduct that he pled down to, but he'll still get the 3-game suspension from the NFL because that's pretty standard for anything DUI related. So Hawkinson's a guy that could come out really on fire, just being the clear number 2 target there. So I think he's a interesting one for redraft as well. Just somebody that should come out and really kick ass early in the season, and then maybe you can even sell him if he's like really balling and he's like the tight end 1 or something like that. Sell him right when Addison's coming back. That might be the most he's ever worth. But I do like Hawkinson. I've got a decent bit of shares of him. He's definitely shown he can play in the league for sure.
Yeah. No, agreed. And then again, this is where I think you mentioned it. It's a tight end dead zone of it's really where people are projecting potential value, and I think that's where we're at here in that tight end 8 to almost that 14, 15 range is you got some of these older vets, but people projecting that, oh, this player is going to do really well. This player is going to do really well. Like that's really the only reason or way I can see some of these tight ends being this high up the list. Like when you look at Tucker Kraft, sure he's done well, but look how full that receiving room is for Green Bay. Like they just added Golden to it. Like how much is Kraft actually going to be able to get in that offense? Like he hit 70 targets last year, and the only reason he was tight end 10 was 7 touchdowns. Is he going to still get that? Like I have a hard time ranking Kraft this high. Like I love him, but he could easily fall out of fantasy relevance with all the other weapons Green Bay has.
Yeah, I mean, if he had a few week injury and they slide Musgrave back in and Musgrave starts playing well, who's to say they don't just go back to Musgrave if they like what they see, and Kraft's relegated to like tight end 2 on his own team.
Yeah,
and he's nothing. I mean, I don't think that'll be the case. Kraft, to me, again, to all the people I listen to about prospects, all liked Kraft more than Musgrave. And even early in that rookie year, when he was playing behind Musgrave, they were all just like, dude, just wait. This dude will be their starter. And sure as shit, the second he got the chance, he started playing better than Musgrave. So I think Kraft is on the safer side. Like if you wanted to have a locked in like top 10 tight end, and he's also got youth on his side. He's a baby in tight end years. So of this 5, I do like Kraft. I guess I don't think he's really placed too high or too low, but like at this point, except from number 3 down, I could sit here and give you 3 or 4 negatives on every one of these guys. So I don't mind Kraft as much. The next one, Isaiah Likely. Okay, we've seen a couple boom games.
That's it.
People are acting like, oh, is it just locked? Like he's just going to instantly become peak Mark Andrews the second Mark Andrews leaves. Like Mark Andrews is probably gone after this year, contract wise and everything. So people are just that's why he's this high on this list. People are just penciling it in that Isaiah Likely is now just put right in there as like a top weapon for Lamar Jackson, which we don't know if that's what they're going to do with him or how they're going to use him when and if Andrews is gone. So I would never value Isaiah Likely right now as the 9th tight end in Dynasty. Absolutely
no way. If he's the 9th tight end in value right now, I'm selling him for every penny that I can get.
Sure.
Like I understand it. Yeah, he started off. He had a massive game in week 1 or 2, and people are like, Andrews is toast. He's too injury prone, and then he played all 17 games, ended up as the tight end 6, and put Likely in the dust. And he's not even 30. You think of Mark Andrews, you think he's old. He's 29 right now, and he's not injury prone. 2 years ago, he missed 7 games, sure, but before that,
he got his leg broken on a bullshit like hip drop tackle.
Yeah,
that's not injury prone. That's just somebody hit him dirty.
Yeah, exactly. You get rid of that. He missed 2, 5, 6 games in his career outside of a terrible tackle. Like that's and he's giving you tight end 5, 6, 1, 4, 6. Like there's no way I'm putting Likely above Andrews. Like Lamar has shown Andrews is his guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we valuing Likely, not just Likely this high? Why is Likely ahead of Andrews in value right now? There's no reason for that.
Age and like the heavy speculation that this is Andrews' last year and that Likely is just automatically like the heir apparent. But I obviously so many people are saying that this is probably Andrews' last year for a reason. It's the end of his contract. They don't, I guess it is. If it is rumored that heavily, I guess there's a pretty good chance that it is. but it's definitely a non-zero chance that Lamar Jackson just steps in and goes, "That's my boy. He's been with me this entire time. I've been winning MVPs and balling." And who's to say Andrews looks at the market and just doesn't really get offered much and just takes somewhat of a hometown discount to stay and retire in Baltimore. And now look
Yeah.
at you with Isaiah Likely that you just spent tight end 9 prices on, hoping hoping for Andrews to get hurt again or something like that. So yeah, Likely's the one in this group that I'm just like, fuck, what is going on? I mean, next is Kincaid. I just think Kincaid might not be good.
That's an interesting take. I had the opposite take for Kincaid, but I'll let you go first. Why don't you like Kincaid as much?
It's honestly, it's a little bit of burn from last year. So I only play in my one redraft league, and you know me, I fucking punt tight end all the time. But I was like, going into last year's draft, I was like, you know what? I got this feeling. I really think a lot of the world thought it was a big breakout potential for Kincaid. I'm like, who else are they going to throw to, man? They got nobody there now. Like, this is good. So I think Kincaid came off the board as like tight end 5. He was probably like my 5th or 6th round pick or whatever, and I was hyped to have him. It was the first year in that league where I actually spent up on a tight end because I would literally, like, I think the one draft I left without even drafting a tight end, and I just like literally wavered the guy for week 1. And I'm competitive in that league. I've won it before. I'm usually in the playoffs. Like, that strategy works for me. But last year, I'm like, fuck it, man. I got a feeling Kincaid, yeah, and man, he just burned my ass. He was,
yeah.
I would have been better off rolling Will Dissly off out of waivers, week to week than Kincaid. And it seemed like he wasn't part of their game plan. It was like every Bills game you watched, he would be involved on like the first drive, and then they wouldn't even look his way for like the rest of the game. Or he'd be on the sideline for half the time. He was like a 50% type snap guy. So, yeah, I mean, I just think he just might not be that good, or like he would have just forced his hand and like gotten more involved. They would have no choice but to get him involved in the offense. So who knows? I mean, tight ends can take a while to break out. He's still very young and early in his career. So if he did turn it around, I guess I wouldn't be like terribly shocked, but I think he just might not be that good.
See, and I was really wondering about that. Like, one of my dynasty leagues, I lost in the championship. I didn't have a tight end to save my life. I traded. I was so happy going into the season. I had Bowers, Laporta, and Kincaid. And guess which tight end I traded at the beginning of the season?
Bowers.
And I'm kicking myself for that.
Right.
And that would have won me the championship. But looking at Kincaid, I was like, what happened? And looking at his stats between his first and second year, most were the same except one stat. His catchable target rate his rookie year was 85%, 86, something like that. So 85, 80%, 6% of the passes thrown his way were considered catchable. That dropped to 65% last year. Yeah. Nevertheless, Allen was we never really know. Like, I still don't know. I feel like Allen played with some type of broken bone in his left hand or something last year. Like, that never really came out on injury charts, but I kept hearing that. Like, I wonder if that was messing with him more than people thought. And I don't think Josh Allen is that bad of a passer to keep a 65% catchable target rate to Kincaid, that I think Kincaid is going to at least rise in value some this year. Now, I don't know if he's going to reach the point where people were expecting him at the beginning of the season, but I think there's a chance we look at this next offseason and Kincaid's closer to tight end 6 or 7.
If he puts up a tight end one season, he'll be higher on this list. Definitely.
Yeah. And then speaking of tight ends that are going to, they take time to break out. They're going to break out again. They're going to break out again. Moving to 11 to 15, we got Kyle Pitts in here. We got Njoku, Pitts, Andrews, and another rookie, Mason Taylor, and Evan Ingram. 11 to 15.
Yeah, man. So this, I like Njoku. I mean, he's pretty proven. Anytime he's had any type of capable quarterback play, like 2 years ago when Flacco was there, he was balling. I think the 5 games, I just heard the stat somewhere. The 5 games that he played with Flacco 2 years ago on the Browns, he was averaging 18 a game. Like he would have been like tight end one on the season.
Yeah.
So love him. I think he's 29 or 30. He's definitely
29.
not 29. So he's definitely not ancient. Like he could easily have some more years. He's also an unrestricted free agent after this year, I believe. So whether he ends up getting a deal there, going somewhere, like he's a dude that's definitely going to get another contract and be a part of the offense. So I like the Chief there. He's probably, I don't know if he's my favorite on the list. He might be, though. I like him. I certainly like him at that value. I'll pay prices for Njoku a lot. Yeah, man.
Yeah, my favorite on that list is Andrews. Personally, I feel like I keep buying Andrews. Like we do redraft mocks, and I feel like every single one I'm leaving it with Andrews just because of the potential value he's got. And in Dynasty, it's hard to, again, people think he's injury prone. That likely is going to take over. Andrews, I think you can get at the value you can get him at is worth paying for the potential that he's going to give you. And again, he's not that old. He's 29. But
he keeps getting cheaper. You're not wrong. You can. I mean, this is keep trade cuts list as of you pull this morning or whatever. So if that's where the market's valuing him, he's a buy for me there as well. Kyle Pitts, fucking what do you do with Kyle Pitts, man? The 1,000-yard rookie season, and then it's just been like just worse and worser. I mean, he couldn't beat Jonnu Smith out for targets when they were there together. So
his projections for this next year in Sleeper, I just pulled up. He's outside the top 20 for projections on tight ends, behind Jonnu Smith, Gesicki, Waller, Hunter Henry, Ertz, all these guys. Jake Ferguson is projected more points. Dallas Goedert is projected more points. Like I understand youth and what this is Kyle Pitts' 5th year. So we've endured 4 years of people saying this is Pitt's year and it's coming again. Outside of his 1,000-year season,
he's so young still too, because he was literally 20 when he got drafted.
He's 24.
So he's 24, dude. It's bananas, man. So I don't know. I don't even know what to do with Pitts. I feel like he's a dude that I'll take if I'm on a rebuild team and I'm like tearing it down. Pitts is one of those pieces that I'll take back on the trade for my older guys that I'm getting rid of.
Yeah.
But it's just at this point, he's also not. He should be the clear 2 behind London for targets and target share on that team,
but he's not.
I mean, he's not. Like it's just
you got Mooney who's getting more targets than him.
Yeah, so I guess I'd say that the hype and the build up to Kyle Pitts and the big rookie year and everything, and the fact that he's still 24 is why he's there. But yeah, man, I don't. Other than straight redraft like straight up like rebuild dynasty teams, I don't really see much want or need for him. I think I traded him. This is for sure. I remember this now. In one of the Fantasy Holics dynasty leagues, I forget if it was 2 or 3, but I got a trade offer like right when the rookie draft was starting that I could have pick 112 for Kyle Pitts. And I was like, yes, you can fucking have Kyle Pitts for that pick. And I drafted Colston Loveland with it. Wow. I think it's Fantasy Holics 2, because that's a team where I have McBride. It's one of the McBride shares I have.
Perfect.
So McBride's always in my starting lineup, and Pitts was my 2. So I was like, sure, I'll take Cole. I didn't even know what it was going to be at that point. I was just happy to get the 112 for Pitts.
And that's a perfect reroll for a tight end that has that potential. And Pitts, I looked it up. Pitts was number 4 in targets last year for Atlanta. He was behind London, Mooney, and Ray McLeod had more targets than Pitts. And Bijan was only 2 targets behind Kyle Pitts.
Well, when you've got a rock star like Ray McLeod on the field, how can you expect Pitts to beat him out for targets, man? Jesus.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's I picked him up in a few leagues myself last season, but that's that I did not expect to see McLeod having more targets than Pitts. And Pitts wasn't even injured. He just didn't get the targets.
That's my new favorite Kyle Pitts stat that I'm going to tell people, though. He could beat out Ray.
87 targets for Ray, 74 for Pitts.
Wow. Just crazy. Just another guy, like, maybe he's just not that good. Maybe his game didn't translate to the NFL. The defensive figured out how to just bully him out of position. Something ain't right. Something ain't working, obviously.
Yeah, it seemed like he was being used as like a slot receiver in college, and now he's being used more as a tight end, and it's not translating.
Nope, clearly not. Taylor, quick thought is that, again, youth is the only reason he's up here. They did spend pretty high draft capital on him. He was like a mid-second round pick.
Yeah.
And, legacy, his dad, the Hall of Famer Jason Taylor. So, that always factors in a little bit, the pedigree, so to speak, even though it's a different position. But I think lastly, the thing that people are hype about him with is he could realistically be the second target for the Jets this year. I mean, after Garrett Wilson,
who is there?
They're literally hyping up Josh Reynolds as being like, the beat reporters and stuff are saying that Josh Reynolds is like pretty much standing out as like the wide receiver 2 in mini camp and stuff. So
you're struggling when that's the case for the Jets. As a slight off note, I'm buying as much my buying. You can get them off waivers in half your leagues. I'm buying Corley for the Jets just because who are they throwing to? And I think he has that potential. Like you can get him for force, you can get him off waivers. Like anyone on the Jets that you can get for cheap, why not get it right now? Because who the hell knows who's that second person?
Sure.
Breece Hall is going to be the second in targets for sure behind Wilson, but who's third? Mm-hmm. Is it going to be Lazard? Is it going to be Braylon Allen, Reynolds, Corley? Like there's no one else. I'm pulling up the list. There's no one else that should crack the potentials. You got, it's Lazard, Corley, Braylon Allen, maybe Josh Reynolds, like Taylor. Like it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Jets. But that's got to be the only reason Taylor's this high is the second round draft capital, and that there's no one else on the Jets.
Yeah. Speculation that he's going to be heavily involved early. Last on this group of 5 is Evan Ingram. I like Evan Ingram. He's a dude that I've grabbed some shares of, traded for a little cheap. He's shown that he can be a heavy volume guy with the Broncos offense. Yeah. There was no tight end there really to be used. So Sean Payton definitely has a history of using tight end well. So I do like from this low. Yeah, I'll take any shares of him I can get at this pricing on contending teams. It's really just Sutton, and then you've got Marvin Mims there. You've got rookie Pat Bryant that they brought in that everybody seems to think was like way overdrafted to spend a 3rd round pick on. So
I like Bryant, but not that much.
So Ingram, I just like on the chance that he could see some pretty high volume. I mean, just 2 seasons ago in Jacksonville, he almost broke the all-time catch record for tight ends. I think it was like 1 or 2 off or something like that, or tied.
He got 114 receptions. Like, I have a hard time right now thinking Ingram isn't going to be the second receptions leader in Denver next year.
Yeah.
You got Sutton, and then Marvin Mims is just a deep guy. Who knows what's happening with Bryant? And then, you got Troy Franklin, Devon, Vale. Like, Ingram, I think, is going to be a great tight end for your competing teams to get right now. Go out and get him. I expect Knicks and him to do some great things next year.
I'm with it, man. Yeah, he's definitely a favorite of mine. I like him going in this year.
Yeah.
Then we get to our bottom 5, man, and there he is, right at the top of the list, man. The fucking GOAT.
Yeah.
TK. What
I
feels
don't know. I'm a Pats fan. I lean towards Gronk as the GOAT, but it's really hard to go against Kelsey. And I don't know. I don't know if that's disrespect or just because he's old and people are saying Taylor Swift is taking him away from football. I mean, he is 35, but
I think it's
man,
Father Time more so than Taylor Swift.
I mean, I'm looking at Kelsey here. It's all green. He's all top 5 in every, pretty much every stat in targets, receptions, yards. Even last year when people were thinking he wasn't doing well, he still finished top 5. Like, I have a
95.
hard time having him this low that Father Time hasn't hit him yet.
I feel like Kelsey is somebody that, again, I only play in the one redraft league. Maybe we'll get a Fantasy Holics redraft going again this year, so maybe I'll be up to 2. But I feel like he's definitely a target of mine for redraft because I don't give a shit that he's what his age is. But if I'm only focused on this year, so redraft and/or contenders, I will definitely take Travis Kelsey at tight end 16 prices for show.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we got both Fergusons. We got Terrence and Jake, where personally I kind of like Terrence Ferguson. I liked him more for 2 or 3 years down the road, toss him on my taxi because I have a hard time seeing how he's going to get any targets with Adams and Puka this year. I think those two are going to dominate. And then you got Kyron Williams. I think Ferguson is going to be a good stash. 2-3 years now, he might spike up in value and sell. Again, just because Adams is getting up there and old. Again, Father Time hasn't hit Adams yet, but I think Ferguson has that potential once Adam moves on. Like he's just going to slide right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like Ferguson. Definitely have drafted some shares of him. I think he definitely will have every opportunity to become their main tight end for some years. The other Ferguson, I like Jake Ferguson at this cheap. I think this is his last year on his contract with Dallas. I could easily see him just doing exactly what Dalton Schultz did, where the Cowboys are like, you know what, we'll just move on to Luke Schoonmaker and we'll go get a contract somewhere else. But I think I like Ferguson a lot for this year because what else? Similar to the Broncos or the Jets situation, you've got the main guy with CD there, and then after him it's Jake Tolbert. They did bring Pickens. Yeah,
I still don't know how much I like Pickens, but I mean, Ferguson is
a huge Pickens guy, and he's never been like a heavy volume guy either. So
exactly.
I think Ferguson should see plenty of short area targets and be pretty heavily involved in that offense. So I definitely like him this late.
Yeah, I agree. And even when looking at Jake Ferguson's games last year, like he didn't put too many. He had a couple duds towards the end of the season, but
those were without Dak. Dak was only there for the first 8 games.
Yeah, and in those games, like he's proven to do well with Dak. That he's a good potential buy low. I think with Ferguson being injured, looking at 3 games, Dak being injured, I think people are focusing more on that than what he has done, which is putting him this low.
Yeah, like Ferguson here. Brenton Strange, I liked him as a sleeper prior to them drafting Travis Hunter, so I think that definitely caps his potential target share, but I still think he'll be pretty heavily involved because they have the big 2 there now, but then after them, there's nothing really at all. So, for tight end 19, sure, we can put him a couple spots lower, maybe 22, 23 or something like that. A couple of the guys not on this list might be a little bit better than him, but Strange is a guy that certainly shouldn't be like on waivers or anything in dynasty leagues unless it's like crazy shallow benches or something like that. But we'll see. I mean, if he ends up being a steady contributor and gets somewhere near that top 12 this year, then he'd be higher up on this list for sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's not someone I'm planning on starting. He's someone that's a stash for a while and hope. Yeah, I mean, he's rostered in 89% of leagues on Sleeper right now, so he's definitely got that potential. And again, before Travis Hunter was drafted, I heard a lot of buzz about Strange. Strange's breakout year, his third year. He hasn't done too much, but again, last year Lawrence was injured. Max Jones was airing it out to Brian Thomas Jr., so Strange wasn't getting much his way. That with Lawrence plays a little more controlled, methodical. Strange has a chance.
Yeah, definitely. So he's a guy that's definitely worth hanging on to. I don't think he's really a buy or a sell at this point. Just kind of see what happens going forward.
Yeah, he's a good hold.
And then last on our list here is Big Jonnu, man. Massive breakout last year. Won a lot of people a lot of money because he was just a free square. He was a waiver pickup.
Oh, wow.
Dude ended up being, tight end 4 on the year, whatever, just monster game after monster game. A lot of it was towards the back end, too, so he was, like, cooking for you in the playoffs.
Yep.
And what happens? He gets traded back to his original love, Arthur Smith, who just, played him over Kyle Pitts when they were all in Atlanta together. Yeah. So the fact that they got A-Rod there to play quarterback, who's still competent enough to throw the ball, and that we were talking about this, I think, last week, man. What do we got there now that Pickens is gone after Metcalf? Freiermuth, Robert Woods.
Nothing much.
I don't think they make that trade and give up Minkah Fitzpatrick and compensation or whatever to not use him. Like, there's no way they did all this in that situation with that pass catching group to not have Jonnu be a main part, a key cog in this offense. So a lot of people hated that trade, and I guess it did lower his value somewhat from being on Miami where we saw how they were using him, but I think he's perfectly good at tight end 20. I didn't look at my Jonnu shares as like taking a shit when that trade happened.
Yeah. No. I have a love-hate relationship with Jonnu there. For two reasons. Is I love it because who else is there after Metcalf? Right. I mean, you got Calvin Austin, you got Roman Wilson, but they haven't proven a thing. And we know Aaron Rodgers does not like young receivers. That's another reason I'm buying Corley for the Jets is he had no chance with Rodgers being there last year, especially after they traded Adams. But Rodgers doesn't like young receivers. So really, I see him leaning towards Jonnu and Freiermuth. But the thing that makes me dislike it is tight ends historically with Aaron Rodgers do not do well. They don't get targets. They don't get the yardage. Like, it's this love-hate where the situation is perfect outside of Rodgers because he tends to not look towards them, but who else is he going to look towards? Right. Like Metcalf, I expect a giant year, but he's not going to look towards the young guys. So I see hopefully Rodgers breaking that mold and Jonnu Smith continuing what he did last year, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, we shall see. I just think that whether Rodgers likes to use them or not, I just think they're going to be like, look, he's part of our offense. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I've already heard some stuff that this is the first time in his career that Rodgers is really like working with the offensive coordinator, not just trying to call the whole thing himself. We'll see if that actually ends up playing out. But
yeah,
man. So that's our top 20 tight ends according to Keep Trade Cut.
Yeah. Any honorable mentions? Anyone that is outside of the list that you're like?
For sure. The one name I was kind of surprised it wasn't on here somewhere was Dallas Goedert. I mean, I get it. He's in a run first offense. He's got the 2 stud receivers on ahead of him, but Goedert has some boom games. I mean, I don't think it was the Saints game last year. He like single-handedly won it for the Eagles. Devontae Smith went out with a concussion. I think A.J. Brown was also out that game, and it turned into like the Jalen Hurts to Dallas Goedert show, and he had that one crazy touchdown like all the way up the sideline. I mean, he was probably like the tight end 1 on the week week.
Week 3 huge. At New Orleans, tight end 1, 11 targets, 10 receptions, 170 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, that's right. He got all the way up the sideline, like almost to the end zone, and then
almost
ended up being like a tush-push touchdown or something. But yeah, monster game, even without a touchdown.
Monster.
It seems like with the main 3 Eagles pass catchers, and I've heard other pods bring this up too, is that if one of those three are out any given week. The other two are just automatic, like top tens at their position easily.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah.
and AJ Brown has missed some time. Devontae Smith's been pretty much an Iron Man, but then he got the concussion last year and he ended up missing a couple games.
Yep.
That bullshit cheap shot play. That's my boy. Devontae Smith's my favorite NFL player, favorite
I
Eagle player.
I, I love him.
He's so good at wide receiver. Like the fact that he is 160 pounds and can just do what he does, it's so remarkable. His senior year when he won the Heisman, incredible. It was one of the greatest college seasons ever. But anyhow, I gush on my boy, but he if he misses any time, he gets another concussion, misses a few games. If AJ Brown, he missed some games last year. Goddard himself definitely misses games. So I mean that's a knock on him, but I don't know. I'll take Dallas Goddard. He's a dude that with my strategy of just give me somebody tight end 12 or later, he's definitely a guy that I'll start. If he's healthy, I'll put him in my lineup any given week.
And I think that's why people are fading him. Goddard's missed 18 games in the last 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if any tight ends more injury prone, it's Goddard. It's not Andrews. It's not Kittle. It's Goddard. But yeah, if he's out there, and especially if he's out there, Smith or Brown are out.
Oh,
he's a must start.
Yeah, he is. He's absolutely a must start that week. So
he's
a little surprised to see him, but yeah, he's getting older. The injury stuff. So I mean, I get it. It's a top 20 for a reason. You only fit 20 guys on it, so it is what it is. We were just bullshitting before we kicked off about Hunter Henry is literally my most owned tight end across my dynasty leagues. I love Hunter Henry. He's rock steady, consistent. Drake May clearly had a vibe with him last year. He's still under contract. He's a guy that he's one of my loves for when I bring up the best ball thing of just give me 3 or 4 guys in that 15 to 25 range. I literally have more Hunter Henry shares than any tight end on earth at this point. So definitely like Hunter Henry, but I understand that why he's not in the top 20 on keep trade cut here.
Yeah.
Anybody you thinking of that's not on the list here?
Yeah, there's one I'll give a shout out to more for his potential value increase than anything is, and we're talking about tight ends of anything past the 4 or 5 that if there's a drastic jump in value, almost looking to sell them right away because you can just go back down to, tight end 13, 14, get similar points and something on top. So I think this player is kind of primed for that and probably closer to a year and a half, 2 years from now. But I love Harold Fannin for the Browns. He's, as you mentioned, Njoku's an unrestricted free agent after this year. He's getting a little older. Who knows what's happening in that quarterback room? But Fannin has already reported been taking first team reps starting off the bat. I think he has a potential. He's a mid to early third in most rookie drafts. That at that point, you're throwing darts in the dark.
Yep.
Who knows what's happening in the third round? That I'm looking just for people that I think in a year or two will jump up in value, and I'm taking Fannin there every time I can because I think he's primed to jump into that dysfunctional Cleveland Browns offense. They have Jerry Jeudy, Tillman, Deontay Johnson. Sure, Jeudy had a great year, but if he can jump in, especially after Njoku leaves, I think get him on your taxi squad, send a future third. If it's a third and fourth or 2 future thirds to get him, again, that's just dart throws. I'm doing that, and I think he has potential to get you that value back and more. Might not be this season, but next season, halfway through next season, next off season, I think he's got that potential.
Yeah, I like him. He's a guy that I took a good bit of in rookie drafts because he was a late 3rd round pick half the time.
Yeah,
he was balled out in college, like triple crown for tight ends in college last year. So yeah, I like that one. If a couple of these rookies, Mason Taylor and Terrence Ferguson on this list, I think you could bring up Elijah Arroyo in that same vein.
Yes,
he's like a pure pass catching type tight end. So he should be involved in the offense. The Seahawks have basically nothing there. The ghost of Noah Fant, and I'm almost positive this is his last year on his contract. So Arroyo could absolutely be their primary tight end as soon as next year.
Yeah.
totally understand him not being in the top 20 here, but I think he's in a similar scenario to like Taylor and Ferguson, that he could very well be like a key cog in that offense within, even this year, if he comes out and shows that he's just that much better than Fant or whatever the hell else they have in Seattle at this point at tight end, but there's not much there. Chigakonkwo, that's a dude I have a ton of shares of. Like him, he's got the first overall pick in the draft coming in. Much more capable quarterback than old mayonnaise loving Will Levis. So Chig's a guy that I have a ton of in best ball and even in some redraft leagues, that he could take a potential step up. He's very young. He's a super athletic, like pure pass catching tight end. It's Calvin Ridley and him there, and some 4th round rookies that they brought in. So Chig's a guy, like honorable mention for sure. Little shout out to him, but
again, all these honorable mentions are great guys that could increase in value, that if you can get them cheap now to sell later, or to have as your backup. Like you mentioned, you have McBride. Getting one of these guys cheap to be your backup, that if McBride goes down for a game or two, or his bye week, to just slot in one of these guys that you can get for a third or 2/3, or an older guy you're trying to get rid of, or something like that's, or even tossing them into a trade because someone is okay with adding this small value in a trade. These are guys that have that value potential to go after.
Yeah, man. So there it is, our tight end episode. I hope we weren't too rough on them. I think I said plenty of nice things about plenty of them. So it wasn't just a shit on tight end fest.
Agreed. We started off a little in that we were dissing tight ends a lot, but we really got into the potential value that they have for your team, and really who to look out for, who to avoid, even who to trade to gain that value. Again, when I talk about my dynasty teams, you're going to hear me mentioning value a ton. I care about increasing value. Not, I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I remember Kyron Williams, his rookie year was going off. I traded Kyron Williams for a late first. He's worth more than that now. He was worth more than that last season, but I got him off waivers, or I got him in a third. Like, I could be moping that I could have gotten another early second on him if I waited, but instead it's I got a waiver, a 3rd round pick, and I made that a first. My team has more value than last year. Like that's imagine if you did that 2 or 3 times a year with the right players. Where's your team going to be in 2 or 3 years?
Dynasty is all about building value, man. When you start your startup draft, everybody has the same exact amount of assets, the same amount of picks. You all have, I look at it as like, you have a wad of money, and everybody starts off with $150 or whatever you want to call it, and that's what you've got. And how you dispense that and use that, whoever builds that up more and does shit like sell Kyron Williams for a 1st round pick after you picked him up on waivers, that just put a whole bunch of money into your team that took it from another team. And it's next to impossible to fail at Dynasty when you just stack up so many high-end assets and picks and stud players, that at that point you control the whole fucking league, man. You do whatever you want. You just it's a playoff push. I'm rich enough that I could just overpay and bring Jamar Chase and George Kittle onto my team just to fucking stomp on my playoff opponents, even if it costs you way over market value. Because if you've got that much value, you can dominate. And that, man, finding value and increasing it, it's the whole cycle in Dynasty, man.
Exactly. At that point, you don't care if you overpay, because your team still has that value, and you get that bag and you win, and all of a sudden you can repeat and you're getting your money back. Like that's the whole point of, you mentioned startups. I see so many people they're posting their startup teams. How'd I do? And every comment is, you did crappy. What's wrong with your team? Sell off, go young. It's, as you mentioned, everyone in startups has that same value. Every team is going to look equal. In that same extent, they're going to look equally good, equally bad. It's once you get into a year and down the road, 2 or 3 years down the road in dynasty teams, where teams really start to separate in that value. And that's where, if you can take these guys and start separating and gaining value by getting these lower value players we're talking about in these positional episodes, we're talking about wide receivers and running backs the next 2 weeks, and gain that value, all of a sudden you're getting ahead of the pack. As you mentioned, it's the perfect recipe for success.
Absolutely. All right, man.
Awesome.
We can call that a wrap on the tight ends.
Yeah.
This is how much I love bullshitting about fantasy football with you. Is that we effortlessly talked about tight ends for an hour and 20 minutes.
And we both agree. You're converting me into the thought that tight end is a position that I almost need to consider removing or doing something different in leagues just because of the impact it has. I wasn't like that for the longest time, and since we've been talking over the last few months, you're slowly starting to convert me. And yeah, it's a testament to being able to talk about tight ends for this long with that type of how much of an impact do they truly have. But when you talk about value for your overall team instead of points per week, it's a perfect way to approach this episode and even go back and re-listen or see and look through is from a value perspective of how you can increase the value elsewise on your team rather than just looking at it of what points I can get per week.
Absolutely.
Sounds great. Well, we'll see you all next week. We'll have Patrick back. It'll be the three amigos again. And have a great rest of your week, everyone.
You got it. Peace out.
Peace.